Okay, welcome back everyone to the first episode on SAP Fiori Security cum Fiori Advanced Training. In our last session, we have seen the basics of what about this training, who can join this training, and we've discussed about the outlook of this training, including the topics which we are going to cover as part of this module. In today's episode, we will look at the basics of what we have covered in our foundation training on a UI5, which will kind of cover a very simple overview for all of you. First of all, thank you so much everyone for subscribing to this training. And I will start with the basics of our training block. As most of you are already aware, but still it's my duty once again to just brief you about our training block so that you will not have an issue while you are working with the system. So we have our training block. This is our training block, and here is your self-service portal. All the classes which we conduct will be recorded on regular basis, and these classes will be published over here on this training blog. You can see the schedule of the meeting always over here, and this is where you will find the link to join the regular session. And you can always find the latest link through which you can connect. If you're unable to connect to the meeting for 5 minutes, don't wait, just go and check and refresh and just check the link carefully. Also make sure the appointment is already scheduled, it's not cancelled for that day. It's a weekday batch, evening 7 to 8 India time on regular basis. And then you can also check the class schedule over here. Overall, how are we going to go about it? So with that, let's get started. Our today's topic is evolution of SAP and SAP's UI technology. And then we will do a recap of what we learned in our foundation course on SAP UI 5. And then we will look at the definition of what is SAP Fiori. As you know that this training is considered and designed for Fiori security and GRC consultants as well. Perhaps they don't have much idea on development. Maybe you are absolutely a beginner with SAP Fiori implementation in your company, and today you are working as basis or security consultant. You are willing to become a security consultant either, and you are not interested in programming, but you need to understand the basics of Fiori, not to the depth level, but at least to the broad level. So that is what our aim will be. So let's start with first evolution of SAP systems. SAP solutions. So if you look at the evolution of SAP solutions, way back in 1972, five former engineers of IBM have started the company named SAP. Headquarter was in Mannheim, Germany, and in 1976 is when headquarter was shifted to Waldorf, Germany. The aim was to design a solution which can cater to the businesses, and that's when they introduced something called a R1 system. R stands for real time and 1 stands for single box system. This was a time of IBM mainframe system, and the architecture of the system was also from the same direction. Way back in 1976, they have introduced, or way back in 1986, they have introduced a second wave of their system, and they made it R2. R2 stands for real-time two-tier architecture. This is what we call it as client server architecture today. Many web applications perhaps are built using same. Then came in 1990 with more features and globalization happened, and SAP came up with a three-tier architecture called SAP R3. This is called real-time three-tier architecture, which means what solutions you see today as of now, what systems you work with in SAP, it's all based on this three-tier architecture. So this is as of now the solution. So this solution consists of three layers: presentation layer, application layer, and the database layer. These are all the three tiers which it is built of. So you have presentation, which is nothing but your user interface. Then you have application layer. This is where all your code gets executed. And then you have the database layer. This is where you store all the data. So users will work with presentation layer and send signals to the application layer. From there, the call will go to the database layer, and database layer will be used to store the data predominantly. So this is what so-called three-tier architecture. Now, based on this architecture, the product which was built, like if you look at architecture, let's say petrol engine, diesel engine, it's an architecture. Using petrol engine, there are different companies who adopted petrol engine. They adopted the technology, and then they build cars like Hyundai i10, Hyundai i20. These are actual products which are built using petrol engine. Similarly, if you look at diesel engine, so using diesel engine, they have built the car like, for example, Tata Safari or Toyota Innova. All these are diesel engine technology. So using the diesel engine technology, Toyota has launched a product called Innova, right? So similarly, using this three-tier technology, SAP came up with a lot of different products. Some of the products you already know, like SAP ECC, you might have heard about. ECC stands for Enterprise Core Component. SAP BW, SAP BPC, SAP CRM, SAP SRM, SAP PLM, SAP HCM. It's humongous. So today SAP controls world's 65% GDP. World's 65% GDP runs on this R3 system, this three-tier architecture system. Almost every car company, car manufacturers, oil and gas, pharmaceutical, utility billing company, the engine making companies, aviation industry, travel and tourism companies, oil and gas manufacturing companies, plants, lot of pharma companies, they all use SAP at their backend. Might have heard about Pfizer, who has made the COVID vaccine. They also use SAP. You might have heard about any top Fortune 500 companies, oil companies, like in India we have Reliance, ONGC, IOC, BPCL, IOCL. They all use SAP. Petrol comes in petrol bunkers at ISC using IOC. So you might have heard about BSNL in India. They also use SAP. So SAP is everywhere, but we don't see it in real life because it's used on the backend side. So that is what the scale of such a system is, which running world's 65% GDP. Then they have come up in 2015 with the great digitalization and internet world, a completely new solution called SAP S4 HANA. So SAP S4 HANA, if you look at, is nothing but latest ERP from SAP. Latest ERP. So till now the ERP was 1990s technology we've been using till 2015. SAP have changed the shift now, and now this is a latest ERP. S stands for simplified, 4 stands for fourth generation. So you see generation 1, 2, 3, and this is 4. It's fourth generation. Yeah, it's simplified. So they've simplified it to a great extent. I'll come to that in a second. And now you have a, still the architecture wise it's a three-tier architecture, but if you look at the database which they use is called HANA. So HANA is a database, is what being used. It's also SAP's proprietary database, and now they have also elevated the bar by increasing the functionality in terms of the solution what they offer. So this is another product which is evolution of ERP product, which is currently being heavily adopted in industry. Yes. So now you understand the history of SAP, and you understand what is exactly S4 HANA, because going forward, day and night, you will be working on S4 HANA. So now you may say, where are these top companies who are using SAP are going? So eventually these companies are going to S4 HANA. The deadline is 2029. By 2029, every company who is today using this R3 system, any one of these systems, perhaps will be moving to SAP S4 HANA. They will be transforming themselves to an SAP S4 HANA. Now, before we get into understanding more on what is exactly SAP S4 HANA, it is important for us to know what exactly a on-premise solution and what exactly cloud solution means, right? And how exactly what technologies are being used till today in the market to build these solutions. So if you look at the presentation layer, this is very important because your end user, the end user who is using SAP, perhaps a person sitting in a bank, a clerk sitting in an office, is our end user. When our end user look at the SAP solution, they use it for creating, let's say, leave request, or let's say a travel request, or a purchase order, or a sales order. They use this presentation layer. Now, presentation layer has gone through immense number of changes throughout this whole life, throughout the life cycle. So till the level of R2, the presentation layer was SAP's own technology, which was typically known as SAP GUI. So SAP GUI was actually a presentation layer. Yeah, this is what SAP have developed to compute, to talk to their servers. This is their server. So to talk to that, SAP GUI was the dominant technology which they've used till R2. Then came is globalization. With globalization, internet came in. When internet came in, there was a need to now run applications on the browser, and that's when SAP innovated, and they've got more technology. So they have got a next technology called SAP WebDyn Pro. So this was the next technology. As you can see, web means it can run on web browser. That was the next technology SAP came up with, SAP WebDyn Pro. Parallel to that, they also worked on another UI technology which was called BSP. BSP stands for Business Server Pages. Like you might have heard about JSP, Java Server Pages. SAP came up with Business Server Pages, or BSP. That is what SAP have came up with. So SAP have started working on the web-based technologies, and that became the new presentation layer slowly. Yeah. Then also they have innovated this SAP GUI way back, and they have also got a web GUI. What is web GUI? A web GUI is nothing but your SAP system, your SAP GUI runs in a web browser. They simply converted it to or made it compatible to web browser. That become web GUI. So these are all three web-based technologies. So let me just change the color. So these were the three web-based technologies. So SAP GUI was purely SAP proprietary, but the color in the brown, that one is a web-based technology. So these were the main technology used till R3. Yes. So these were the UI technology. This is how you see the UI. So if I just go and write this, this is web-based technologies. But the main disadvantage of this web-based technology is it appeared to be way back in 2000, 2009, 10, 11. That was the time when what happened is a lot of mobile devices came into our life. We have got smartphones, we have got internet penetration, internet have reached to the world, to even the smallest village. And then more and more applications and uses are started happening on mobile devices, on smart devices, on tablets, on different small devices basically. So companies have started building at a very fast pace, producing massive number of smartphones, and more consumption of software started happening on smartphones. But that is the time when these technologies cannot support the smartphone, or even you can, let's say, run somehow them on a smartphone, they will not give a good user experience. Yeah, they will not give a good user experience. Then SAP came up with another UI technology way back in 2012, which is what called a SAP Fiori. SAP Fiori is called SAP Fiori user experience, is we call sometime Fiori UX. Why we call it UX? So a SAP Fiori app is built using a framework. The framework which we use to build SAP Fiori app is called SAP UI 5 framework. So we use a framework to build a web application, and this web application is responsive, which means it can adapt itself on any device. You can write one line, one type of code, and that code can run mobile, desktop, tablet, any device. That is the advantage, which is what this technology gave. And when it was heavily adopted by industry, there was a need for common protocol and guidelines. And SAP also together came with Fiori. So Fiori is nothing but your guideline. It tells you about what is the right guidance, what is the right way of building applications using this framework. So the tool and the services is from the framework. You will use this framework to build application, but you will use the guidelines from SAP Fiori guidelines. So Fiori is more about guideline, and UI5 is about a framework which is used to build Fiori app. So in order to build a Fiori app, you would need UI5 framework. And that is what our last training, most of you are from that training. So we have attended that UI5 Fiori training. So there we learned how to build a Fiori app. However, I'll do a recap of that. Now, those who are joining from basis background or security background, don't be too overwhelmed, because in the first half of this training, as I promised you, I'm not going to go too much deeper into technical stuff. I know you are from basis and security world. You don't like coding, and you're not from the coding background. You don't want to do coding at all with this training. Your goal is to learn and understand security aspect, installation, upgrades, yeah, all that sorts of stuff. And that is what our major focus in the first half will be. But it's important for me to make your foundation ready, or even a fresher who join out of a college, this training should be able to understand this training. And that is why we will cover some of these topics which are quite important for all of you. So now, can I experience these existing technology even today? Yes, there are a lot of applications which you can access. So let me just quickly open my SAP server to show you the web GUI quickly. So if I go back to my SAP server, I'll tell you about the server access later. What options do we have for server to practice this when the right time comes? But I just go to a transaction SICF in my SAP server. And if I search here a service path SAP BC GUI, SAP ITS integrated terminal, and then web GUI. If I search for this node, then if I execute, you can see web GUI. I can just open this, allow, and now you see this is your web GUI. So you can see exactly same thing. So when you connected through SAP GUI, you saw this screen, right? Yeah, the same screen you see in the web browser. You see, so this is your SAP GUI tool, guys, which SAP have got. So anywhere in the world, if there is a SAP implementation, you would typically use this tool. This is your SAP GUI tool. Yeah, using this tool, you connect to SAP server. Now you can also use web browser. This is your web GUI. Okay, I'll put the URL of the web GUI later on. If you're taking the same server, you can test it. So in your company server, you can also test the same ICF node. This is a node actually in SICFT code, which you can use to test the web GUI. So web GUI is nothing but a SAP GUI enabled in the browser. Many time you may feel you may not be able to even make a difference between web GUI and Fiori, because it is visually harmonized. There was a project in 2015 which ran in SAP called visual harmonization. What is visual harmonization? So let me show you a picture. Yeah, let me show you a picture. So uh, I just explain you that. Yeah. Okay. So I'll play now again. What do you think? What is this picture is of? Anyone? What is this picture is of? Tiger? No, it's not tiger. It's zebra. It's a zebra which is colored in orange to make it look like tiger. Exactly. So with this example, it's easy for you to understand that it's basically the visual harmonization project. The idea was to keep the experience, the look and feel look like Fiori. because SAP is working since long time, 1990 to 2020. It's a long time, 30 years. In last 30 years, SAP customers, partners, and SAP themselves have built millions of applications. Lots of transactions have been built, lots of development has been done. We can't throw away that investment in one day. We can't. It's not possible to throw that investment in one day, right? So what SAP did was they've done a visual harmonization project so that everything can look like Fiori for some time until all the Fiori apps are ready. Visual harmonization. Yes. So this is the project which was ran by SAP internally within SAP to make it look even these applications like SAP Fiori apps. Okay. So the moral of the story is there are predominantly one, two, three, four technologies which gives you capability to run in the browser on the internet. Out of this, only the Fiori is the technology which is capable of giving you a capability to auto adapt according to device. Other three technologies are going to run in web browser, but they don't have a capability to run it on the mobile devices. Yet if you are using desktop, to give you a consistent look and feel, a coherent look and feel, what SAP done, they've ran a project called visual harmonization, which give you same look and feel. So sometimes even customers won't be even able to tell is this a Fiori app or not, because the experience has been changed in such a way that everything looks like Fiori. Okay, you will see that soon. Once we go deeper, you'll understand even these applications are still available. A lot of these applications in the system, even in S4 system, we use them on regular basis, but we'll never be able to make out whether it is truly the Fiori app. Let me give you one example by logging in into the web GUI. So log into web GUI and I will enter here a transaction. So let me just search VA01, the very famous transaction to create sales orders in the system. Yes. And if I open that, it will give you a feel like it's a Fiori app. So many of you who have at least seen Fiori apps in your career, it will exactly feel like it's a Fiori application. That is how it will be feeling like. So let it load. It's going to take few seconds. So that is the evolution of SAP solution and UI technology. So in general, the moral of the story here is SAP Fiori is the user experience and the guidelines to build applications which are responsive and they look coherent. They will give consistent look and feel to the end user to increase the user efficiency, and they are built using a framework given by SAP called UI5 framework. That is what is used to develop Fiori apps. Then there are other UI technologies which are WebDinpro, BSP, and WebGUI, which are now kind of not so much development is being done on them. Most of the new development happens through Fiori, yet they are visually harmonized to make them look like a SAP Fiori application. SAP have done that. So now you can see here, I have launched a VA01 transaction in SAP to create sales order, and you can see it very much look like Fiori. So if you put a order type, yeah, and then if I say continue and create a new order, so 01000001, I just create a new order. I'm not sure if let's create, I'm not sure if I have right data. So if you create, you can see it looks very similar to Fiori itself. Nobody can make out, but it's actually still the GUI. It's a web GUI. Okay, you can see the above shell and how it looks. It looks very similar to Fiori application, but they have visually harmonized it. So that is the evolution of SAP solution and SAP UI technology. Now let's go to the definition of what is SAP Fiori. So is the Fiori is only the UI5 applications built with harmonization? No, Fiori is more to it. So what is Fiori actually? If somebody asks in an interview what is Fiori, how do you reply? What will you say? What exactly Fiori is? So couple of important lines to understand. SAP Fiori is the go-to interface, user interface of SAP S4HANA. What is SAP S4HANA? As you can see, SAP S4HANA is SAP's latest ERP. It's a successor of SAP ECC, which was released in 2015. So now SAP Fiori is the go-to interface for SAP S4HANA solution. Now SAP customers who don't implement the SAP Fiori or continue to use SAP GUI as their primary UI will only have limited benefit from the innovations in SAP S4HANA. So basically SAP is saying that if you want to fully leverage my new solution, yeah, I am giving you a new solution, new ERP. If you implemented this ERP in your company, but if you are still not using Fiori user interface, then you are losing out on the functionality, you are losing out the new innovation, new features. Okay, just take an example. Everyone plays mobile game, at least Subway Surfer, right? Candy Crush, a lot of you have played. So if you don't update your mobile, if you don't update that app, you may not get the new features of that app. Yeah. So basically, let's say there is a game or there is an app you're using, Uber app, let's say using to book cabs. So when you're booking the cab, perhaps you might have seen the first version of Uber was not so user friendly, and now if you look at, it's very user friendly. It has a lot of new services, a lot of new payment gateway options. It has a lot of pay options. It has a lot of search options. It has a lot of pooling option is there. So you get all those new benefits if you update your app. If you still run old version of apps, you may not get the benefits, right? That is what SAP is also saying, that your company might have implemented the latest ERP, which is SAP S4HANA. But if you're not using Fiori, you may not get benefit, which means what it means? It means SAP stopped innovation in these technologies. So if there is an app which was built using WebDin Pro in the past, SAP is no more changing that app. Yes, they're not changing this app at all. It is still the same functionality. But if you want to use new features, new functionality, new benefit, then you have to switch to Fiori applications, because that's when you get the new features, new benefits. In the old applications, they will remain as it is. They are not doing any new development, only they are doing maintenance of those old application. So you will be reprieved from the benefits of SAP S4HANA if you don't implement the new UI technology, or you don't adopt the new UI technology, which is Fiori. Okay. Now then, is SAP Fiori is more than just Fiori apps built on UI5. It's not just about building a Fiori app on UI5. SAP Fiori is more. SAP Fiori is also about providing a coherent user experience to the user. How do they do that? They do it using themes. So whenever you see SAP announce a new version of SAP Fiori, they will come up with a theme also. So current version of SAP Fiori is Fiori 3.0. This is the current version of Fiori, which is actually the Fiori apps are built using UI5, corresponding UI5 version as 1.80. So corresponding to 1.80 version of UI5 framework, the Fiori version is Fiori 3.0. That is what is happening. Now, that is the first benefit, or that is what Fiori means. It's about coherent user experience, consistent and coherent. Coherent means if you look at one application and then you look at second application, it will feel like, it's same. It will not give you completely different experience. So if you train your employee on one application, they can easily get trained on another application also, because it looks consistent and coherent. Okay, so that's first benefit. SAP Fiori provides a single entry point to our end users. And to do that, SAP provides you something called SAP Fiori Launchpad. So SAP Fiori Launchpad is nothing but it's a transaction, or it's a single page which is going to allow you to get inside any application. Suppose in your company you have 500 applications. Now you can't give 500 URL to your end users, right? But you can give one URL, and that one URL is Launchpad. The Launchpad is the entry point for any application, any Fiori application, whether it is SAP delivered or you developed it. This is the single entry point that is also comes under Fiori portfolio. So Fiori Launchpad is a major part of this training. We're going to learn that, and it is also the single entry point for all the Fiori apps. So all the Fiori apps are accessed via Launchpad. Now, Launchpad is role based, or I would say Fiori is a role based implementation. What do we mean by role based implementation? Role means who is your user, understand its role, understand its capabilities, understand its need. So considering that, you will have Fiori. So Fiori is always a role based implementation. These apps are designed to cater user tasks more efficiently. So let me take an example of a role. Employee. Employee is a role. Yes. In a company, what is that employee supposed to do? Employee is a role. Then if you look at manager, manager is also a role. So if you look at employee, employee role contains, what is that employee can do? Employee can create leave request. Employee will fill their timesheets. Timesheet means clock in, clock out. On regular basis, they will clock in and they will clock out. They will tell the company that I've joined the team today at morning and then I left in the evening, and they fill the daily work timesheets, how much hour they worked on what topic. So all of this is your different applications which are pertaining to an employee. However, a manager would can go ahead and approve leave request. You can't approve your leave request in your company by yourself, right? So approve leave request, this is a application. Then you have approve timesheets. All of these things what you see here are actually done by manager. So we have employee and we have manager. So these are all the different roles when it comes to working with the applications you have. So Fiori is role based, which means when a employee logs in into the launchpad, employee will only see the applications which belongs to his role. Employee will never be allowed to see the approve leave request or approve timesheet, never, because that doesn't belong to his role. Now employee could be employee role can be mapped to a user A, person B, person C in the company. Yeah. Then a manager role could be applied to a person C, person D, person E in the company. Yeah. So you see, C is a user who has got employee role also, who has got manager role also. So C is a manager also and employee also. So accordingly, the C will see the applications, and these are the entry points, and these entry points are called tiles. So in SAP Fiori Launchpad, you will see the tiles. Each tile represent one application, one unique application. So Fiori implementation is based on roles. So Fiori gives you a entry point to all the application. All the Fiori apps are tailored to the user's task. It gives a consistent and coherent experience. It is also about giving you the new theming. So every time a new version is released, the new theme is released. Along with that, SAP released a lot of new features in Fiori. Like recently, they have introduced a feature in the last release, last wave of Fiori 2.0 called Copilot. What is Copilot? Copilot is a small window which you get in the right side on the Fiori applications in S4HANA, where you can do a conversation to the app. You might have heard about Google Alexa, Amazon Alexa, right? Or you might have heard about the iPhone Siri, where you can talk to the phone. You can say, can you please book an appointment for me, to the phone, and the phone does that job, right? So it's basically artificial intelligence through which you can communicate to your system, and that system can understand the human voice, and it can translate into the computerized command. So all these features are actually released, new releases, new features are keep adding to SAP Fiori with different versions what SAP release. So Fiori is not just about a Fiori application built using UI5. It portfolio includes themes, it includes new features, it includes Copilot, it includes Fiori Launchpad, it includes a lot of tools through which you configure the Fiori. Tools, services, tasks, yes, lot of roles, lot of content. This is also we will be learning at part of this training, content, lot of content, all of that together makes your Fiori. And of course it is about guidelines to build applications. So it is about guidelines and best practices to implement the software in your company. So let me show you where can you find Fiori guidelines. So if you go back and you check SAP Fiori design guidelines, then you will see SAP Fiori design guidelines here. So to implement Fiori application, to design or develop a Fiori app, you need to perhaps go and read these guidelines. What is the guideline says? Where should I keep buttons? What is the color coding I should give? How the look and feel should happen? How the wording should be, how the icons should be kept, what is the typical guideline for theming structure. So you see different theming experience, how the different themes look like, how what coloring should you give, how should you give this coloring, how should you make it make it visible, invisible. So different content and different theming structure. There are also something like templates means predefined user experiences which you can use to build an app quickly, and that's what we call Fiori elements. So all of these together package into one component or one thing, which is what we call SAP Fiori. So SAP Fiori is actually a package deal of all of these together. It's not just about an app built using UI5. Yes, so I hope everybody is clear what exactly SAP Fiori. This is the basics. Now coming to S4 HANA, many a times you may already you might have experienced on R3, you might have worked on ECC or other softwares of SAP in the past. What is so different in S4 HANA? What exactly S4 HANA? So first, before I go to S4 HANA, let me explain you what is an on-prem solution, on-premise versus cloud. This is a very important term which we use many times. It's an on-premise system. This is mine is on-premise, mine is cloud. What does this mean? What exactly an on-premise solution? What exactly a cloud solution? So if you consider that like implementing a software in your company, what is that you need to implement a software in your company? What is that we need to implement a software? Yes. So if you look at the very first thing your company would need is a hardware, where you would need, let's say, a couple of computers, and you will have a configuration for that. You would say, I need 500 gigabyte RAM, I need 10,000 or 1,000 petabyte hard disk, I need a i7 generation 5 processor, and I would need maybe this much memory. All of that is your hardware, actual computation power. Yeah, actual hardware units. On top of hardware, what we do is we install operating system, OS. Before that, we do networking. So we need to do LAN, WAN, whatever networking, connect these computers together, and that becomes networking. On top, you would need operating systems. You would choose which operating system, Linux, Mac, or Windows, which license you need to apply. That is what also you need to purchase. You need to purchase licenses. You need to add those licenses to make it run. Then on top of it, you would use virtualization. What is virtualization? Virtualization includes your VMware. You might have heard about VMware. So I want to run a Ubuntu Linux operating system on Red Hat Linux because some features of Ubuntu I like. Yeah, there is some feature of Kali Linux I want to use on top of a Red Hat Linux. So that is achieved using virtualization. So the limited amount of hardware is split into different operating system, and one of the company of such virtualization provider is VMware. You might have heard about. You might have installed a virtual machine on your Windows laptop to run a Linux on Windows. That's virtualization. Then on top of virtualization, you would need softwares, right? You need different runtimes and softwares to be installed, like antiviruses, basic security softwares. All of that you need to install on your virtual machines. After that, on top, you will install the databases. To build an application, you would install runtimes and tools to build applications. And then on top of it, finally, you will develop application. Yes, you will develop user interfaces, and finally an application is built. So to run a application, this much drama, yeah, to just run a software, this much drama you need to do. Now, if you think about yourself as a developer, you want to build a small calculator application. For you, maybe this is very small. You can perhaps use any technology like Java or C and build it and compile and run it, no problem. But think about a big company which has about 60,000, 70,000 employees. It can't be so small. The system itself is so humongous to support such a large load. And the cost of having all of this is very high. Why? Because it's not just the hardware networking cost, it's about the people cost. You need people to manage, right? In your colleges, you might have people to manage IT hardware, right? There was a server room, there are people sitting in that server room. Yeah, there is an AC, there is an hardware. There's a lot of cost involved. You need to do maintenance, you need to take backups, all of that you need to do. Yes. Now if your company implement a software, and along with software, this whole stuff, yeah, this whole stuff what you see here is completely managed by your company itself, then it's a on-premise solution. What is an on-premise solution? A on-premise solution is a solution where your company is managing everything end to end. The entire software stack is managed by your company. That's a on-premise software. So usually SAP is a on-premise software. So if your company is implemented a ECC, BW, these are different solutions, different model. Remember technology, petrol, diesel technology. Then you have i10, i20, Tata Safari, right? Hyundai Creta, all the different cars, Honda City. These are different models. So these are different solutions. These solutions, if you want to implement, you see databases, servers, networking, connections, tools, runtimes, everything you need. It's all managed by your company. Within your company, there are different departments who manage this. Okay. Then to run this software, to run this SAP application, you would need all of that, and it's all of it is managed by your company on premise software. Take a simple example to make it more clear. Outlook. If your company using Outlook, then they have a mail server room, they have installed hardware, they have storage where all the employee mails are getting stored, right? That's a on-premise software. Now, if I say that I will take away all of this from you, I'll say I'll take it away, all of it from you, yeah, and I will manage it by myself. I take all of it from you. I will have everything with myself. So I am a company which actually takes this away from you. And then I will also manage this. So I will only develop this. Yes. And what you do is you don't you don't have to set up hardware. You don't have to do networking. You don't have to hire people to do this. I will also build application. And what I will do is you as a user will just open your browser. and connect to my application. Just you do this. As a user, you just talk to my application. I will only manage the application also. Yes, this whole thing is behind the scene. I am only managing. So I am a vendor who is managing it. Okay, I am a vendor. But for what reason I am doing this? Am I doing a charity? Of course not. What I will do is I will charge you. And how I will charge you? I will charge you based on per user, per month, or as per the usage. Usage means how much you use, more I'll charge. If you use 24 hour, I'll charge you for 24 hour. If you use 800 hours in a month, I'll charge you for 800 hours. So depending on hours you use, minutes you use, I will charge you. Yes. Now, in real life, if you compare that Gmail, of course, Gmail is a free, but you see Gmail. So Gmail, suppose tomorrow Gmail start charging you $1 per account. So maybe one person have 5 accounts, so $5 per month they will charge you. More account you open, more charge they will charge you, right? So that is what actually a software as a service, where vendor is not a vendor is having everything with himself or herself, and they will charge you a subscription fee, which is depending on per user, per month, or per, depending on cycle, whatever it could be, the cycle, monthly, yearly, per user charge, or per usage, how much you use, like your internet plan, right? When you buy internet pack like 2 GB per day, that's a subscription you've taken a subscription to pay for 2 GB per day plan. You can have, if you more data consumption, you can pay more. Let's say you get 5 GB plan, you pay more. Similarly, you can always scale up and scale down. So this is a cloud solution because it runs accessible on the browser. Entire stuff is managed by the company itself. These kind of companies are called cloud companies. You might have heard about companies like AWS, GCP, Google. These are cloud companies, right? Microsoft has Azure, Microsoft Azure, where they will offer you. In fact, these companies not just offer solution, they also offer you infrastructure. They offer infrastructure for other companies, where other software companies can build on their infrastructure and they can sell those solutions to their customers. So SAP, these are a lot of cloud companies, Yahoo, a lot of these are cloud companies. Yes. Now some companies just offer this portion of code, this portion where they offer all of this as a service up to here. These are the companies called infrastructure as a service, IaaS, in cloud. Some companies offer this much. These are called platform as a service, PaaS. And some companies just offer application and end-to-end. These are called application as a service. So you're using application as a service. Now, advantages, you have reduced initial cost, right? You don't have to pay to set up all this. Reduced initial cost, you can directly use software. The scaling becomes easy. It's easy to scale. Tomorrow, today your company have 20 users, tomorrow you have 200 users. You can easily scale. Yes, scale up or scale down. You can reduce, you can increase depending on your business in the future. You have got instant value. You don't have to wait for long implementation, because if you have to get arrange everything, it's going to take a lot of time. Sometimes SAP implementation with on-premise takes years. I've seen one implementation, it took 3 years to implement entire SAP in that company. 3 years it took. Yes, such a long time. Yeah, after 3 years, imagine a car which part comes from different parts of the world to assemble that car. And after assemble that car, it took about 3 years. Yeah. And after that, uh, assembling is done, you need to do PhD to drive that car. Yes, it's a mammoth. So you not get instant value in on-premise. However, in the cloud, today you decided, tomorrow you have it. Yeah, tomorrow the solution is in your hand. So it is that easy. Since it's a shared environment, the cost is also low. Total cost of ownership is very low. Actually, initial cost is very low. You don't have to set up anything. It's all owned by vendor. Now you don't pay here the lump sum amount. You pay a subscription fee. Yes, that's what you pay, like monthly or yearly, whatever subscription you are paying. So these are all the advantages of a cloud solution. Now, what are all the disadvantages? In a long run, a cloud solution become expensive. Yes, in a long run, if you thinking about like 50 year 60 year, then you will perhaps pay a lot of money. Yes, in a course of 50 year. But at the same time, if you don't have that much money, or if you have that much money today itself with you, maybe half of it, you can implement a on-premise solution. In that case, you will have full control. In case of cloud solution, there is very little customizing. So disadvantages: low customizing. You can't customize this software too much because it's offered by vendor and the vendor is sharing it with multiple people. You don't have freedom to do things in the system. The second disadvantage, oh sorry, second disadvantage of on-premise I'm talking. So these are all the advantages of cloud. The disadvantage of cloud is low customizable. You can't customize it. Third is sometimes security. So you don't feel comfortable your sensitive data being stored in somebody else's data center. Yes, right. So that is something which you may feel as a problem, or if it is not managed and handled nicely, then you have severe security problems. That second uncomfortable situation for implement a cloud solution. Third is sometimes you don't have control because it's in the control of vendor. Now you don't have a freedom of choice to say no to upgrades. It's always a force upgrade. Whether you want it or don't want it, they will upgrade your system. Okay, it's a force upgrade. You might have seen many companies, they will automatically update your laptop. Automatically they get you new version of software in your mobile phone. So it's a force upgrade. If you want to decide to stay on a version which is more stable for your company for a long time, you can do it in on-prem, but you can't do it on the cloud. So this is fundamental difference between cloud and on-premise. Another advantage of cloud is faster innovation. You get faster, new features will come much faster to you. It's a matter of blink of an eye. So today you sleep, tomorrow morning you wake up, you open the mobile app, it has got a lot of new features. Yeah, the release cycle is very fast in the cloud. Yes, but the disadvantage on the other side is quality. Sometimes the quality is bad because of the speed of the delivery of new features. So quality can be compromised sometime. However, if you manage it well, then cloud is definitely an advantage when it comes to implementing the software. So that's a fundamental difference between on-premise and cloud solution. What SAP did with S4 HANA is they launched this new ERP in two flavors. They have S4 HANA in two flavors. So S4 HANA is a solution, of course. It's available in two flavors. What are those two flavor? Of course, one is S4 HANA on-premise and one is S4 HANA cloud. So S4 HANA on-premise and S4 HANA cloud. So if you really look at, as you know now, on-premise, if your company is planning to implement S4HANA on-premise, basically they will have to set up everything. Everything means everything in their company. You only need to have hardware, software, everything. They need to implement in their company. They will have people who will manage this solution. There will be people, there will be SAP security people, SAP developers, network administrators, basis people to implement the entire solution. This is today, as of market, is about 80% implementations are on-premise implementation in the market. Only 15 to 20% implementation of S4 cloud are happening. So this course will focus on S4 HANA on-premise security. When we implement Fiori apps, we will be doing them in the on-premise software. Now, if you look at the release cycle of S4HANA on-premise broadly, S4HANA on-premise is a yearly release. So you get all the new stuff, new features in once in a year. Okay. So once in a year. So if you draw the cycle, it's one per year. So first version of S4HANA was 1509. 15 means 2015, 9 means September. So 2015 September. Then came is 1609 in 2016 September. Then came is 1709. Yes. Then came is 1809, 1909, and last year they got 2009, which they named it as 2020 only because it is a yearly release. Yeah, it was in September 2020, so it was named as 2020. So this is the release cycle. This training will be done on this version, latest version of SAP S4 HANA 2020 on premise. So you will see the features. Eventually, whether your company is on S4HANA or not, these features will help you to implement Fiori. So we will look at how does we implement SAP standard applications in this solution. Now the same applies to 1909 also and 1809 also. If you are on very low version, then perhaps some topics may not be relevant, some topics, because those features are not there in lower version. But we will do things on latest version so that you will remain up to date, so that you can also implement accordingly. Yeah, so we will learn S4 HANA security concept. If your company is in the process of implementing S4 HANA or already implemented S4 HANA, the major question for you is how do we implement Fiori? What are all the best practices? How do we deploy Fiori app, install them, update them, upgrade them, make them visible to the user, design the content? All of that we're going to see in the first phase of our training on SAP S4 HANA on premise. When it comes to cloud, as you know, in the cloud, everything is managed by vendor. So you don't have to worry. You ask your vendor, they will give you the apps. Yeah. So they only will take care of installation and activation of apps. However, it's a quarterly release. So it's a quarterly release. You can see every quarter you get new software. And here you don't have any control. Yeah, it's all done by SAP is the vendor in this case. So it's a quarterly release. So first release was in SAP 1502, then came is 15. It's a quarterly, every 3 months, 1505. Yeah, like this it continued, and the most recent version was 2002, 2105. It's about to come, I think. 2105 means in the month of May they will release. I think the release date is very close. Then you have 2103, which came in March. Yes. Then we have 2102, which came in March. Then 2009, 2011, sorry, 2011, 2009. So this was in September 2020. Then November 2000, this was 2008. August, October, then February, and then you can see May. Every 3 months you have, this is a 3 month cycle. The new release will come for S4 HANA Cloud in every 3 months. So here, if you are using this solution in your company, you will perhaps not do Fiori security because it's managed by the vendor. Everything is managed by SAP. SAP is the vendor in this case. But if you are in on-premise, you will be doing a lot of stuff. So if you look at here, the complete management of the applications is on your head. Even you develop new applications also in S4 HANA on-prem. So that was our development course. Previously we did UI5 in Fiori. So I hope you got basic idea of what is Fiori, what is evolution of SAP systems, how SAP was evolved, what is S4 HANA, what is the architecture S4 HANA has, what UI technologies SAP had in the past, and why SAP Fiori came into picture. What is Fiori? Is Fiori just an application which is built using UI5? Answer is no. It is a package. It's a package deal. Package deal which includes theming, which includes launchpad, which includes tools, services, tasks, role, content, guidelines, best practices, lot of different features like Copilot. Yes, we have theming experience. They are coherent applications. SAP deliver lots of Fiori apps to you. The underlying technology is UI5 for those apps, but these are called Fiori apps. So they're built using UI5, but they're called Fiori apps because they are accessed through the Fiori Launchpad. Then you just discussed about, we just discussed about on-premise versus cloud solution. So your Outlook is an on-premise solution. Everything is managed by your company end to end. That's an on-premise solution. Cloud solution, everything is managed by vendor. In a cloud solution, you do lose the flexibility. You don't have flexibility to customize the solution at to very large extent. That's why a lot of customers are choosing, who has money. Of course, everybody has money, so customers have a lot of money, so they are choosing on-premise. 80% of implementation as of now in the market are as for an on-premise. Only 15 to 20% implementation are or as for cloud. Our goal in this training will be to activate, start, install, set up, use Fiori applications delivered by SAP end to end in the system. In our next class, we will look at how to use SAP UI5 framework to build Fiori app. We'll do a recap of our development training. So in the past, we had our development training, which happened. Yes, many of you have attended our development course. We'll do a recap. Of course, that will be little technical dose for those who come from Fiori security background, GRC background, or basis background. But it's important, at least you should also know the skeleton of Fiori apps, how the skeleton looks like, what are the different sections a Fiori app consists of, because it's important, because many time in your career as a security consultant, it will so happen that you may have to go and check certain things in that Fiori application. To be able to do that, you need to know the skeleton at least for Fiori app. So first half of the training will not be going too much technical on development stuff. We'll do pure security. It's all going to be drag drop based. In next class, I'll show you the skeleton, a recap of UI5 training, and we will talk about server access as well. With that, thank you so much. Time for your questions one by one. Any question, anybody on this session today? If we have any screen on WebDin Pro FPM MDG having BRF plus, will that be changed to Fiori in future? You need to ask SAP. Yes, I'm not sure, but the direction is yes. Perhaps that will change, but when, I'm not sure. Okay, it can't be so generic. The recording of the session will be available after tomorrow, next day, before 12 o'clock in the training block. All right. So I hope the basics are clear. We are set. Let's meet tomorrow at the same time. Have a nice day.